probably describe these sneakers for anyone that hasn't seen it. Have you seen these sneakers?
Yeah. They look like if NASCAR were a shoe.
Yeah. They're a little ostentatious.
Yeah, just a bit.
Like a bedazzled Texan flag for your foot.
Yeah.
Like it's...
Yeah, they're gold with a sparkly American flag around the back.
Yeah. There's a T on them.
Yes, there is a T for Trump on them. There is also one thing that sneakerheads really found objectionable about the sneakers. What was the most hated thing about the Trump sneakers?
Was it that they were Velcro? Laces are complicated. Laces are complicated.
I got these tiny hands. How am I supposed to do laces with these tiny hands?
What they hated most was that the sneakers come with a custom charm with an image of Trump in a red superhero jumpsuit with bulging muscles.
Oh my God.
Attached to the laces.
So you can buy your sneakers and then get your mom something nice for her Pandora bracelet.
So grab a pair of Never Surrenders. The only thing you'll have to surrender is $400 and some self-respect. Panel, somehow we have reached the end of another exciting Because News. Our champion this week is... Well, it's Jan Caruana. I am Gavin Crawford reminding you that it is a leap year, so we have one extra day of February coming up this week, or as I like to think of it, a seasonal depression bonus round. We'll see you next time. Why? Because News. Thank you very much. Give it up for Cliff Cardinal, Adonis Charlie, and Jan Caruana.
Canada, this is Jan Caruana, winner of Because News. Congratulations to my runners-up, Adonis Charlie and Cliff Cardinal. Because News is written and produced by Shannon Higgins, David Carroll, Gavin Crawford, Phil Lung, and Jess Klimowski. This week they had help from Alice Moran, Miguel Rivas, and John Blair. Rounding out the team, Aaron Conway, Bronwyn Page, Errol Gonsalves, and our recording engineer, Paul Hodge.
This is CBC Radio 1, 990 AM, 89.3 FM in Winnipeg. Ondaatje, Winters, Shields, Bergen, you? The CBC Nonfiction Prize is one of the most prestigious writing prizes for unpublished works in Canada. And it's now open. Up for grabs, cash prizes from the Canada Council for the Arts, a 2-week writing residency at the Banff Centre for Arts and Creativity, and your work published on CBC Books. For rules and more, go to cbcbooks.ca.
You know the feeling of finding a really good podcast? Or the feeling of someone always being there, like your favorite radio show? Stream CBC Podcasts, CBC Music, and CBC Radio anytime, anywhere. Download the CBC.
This is CBC News. Good afternoon, I'm Rosanna Hempel in Winnipeg. At 12 o'clock, it's +2 in Winnipeg. Cloudy today, wind gusts up to 50 this afternoon, and a high of +3. City crews have begun cleaning up after last night's snowstorm. For years, the city has under-budgeted for the cost of snow and ice removal. CBC's Cameron McLean reports this year's budget could change that.
Every year for the last decade, the cost of clearing snow has exceeded what council put in its budget. The city's budgets have assumed a low snowfall scenario, forcing it to dip into its rainy day fund to cover the excess. Last year, the city budgeted a little more than $36 million. The current draft budget for this year has over $40 million. Now the city is proposing changing its funding formula to assume an average snowfall instead. That would boost the snow clearing budget to $54.2 million. The city is also considering increasing service on local sidewalks, sending plows out a second time to clear debris left by road crews. A special public works meeting will consider the proposed changes on Friday. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Plows are heading out to streets and sidewalks in Winnipeg. An intense system dumped more than 2 centimeters of snow on the city early this morning. The city says crews are out plowing streets, sidewalks, back lanes, and pathways. Major routes will be taken care of first. A reminder, the annual winter route parking ban is in place. There's no parking between 2 in the morning and 7 in the morning on those routes. Vehicles parked there will be ticketed and towed. The city is asking people to drive to conditions. A man accused of killing 5 people in southern Manitoba will undergo a mental health assessment. This morning, Ryan Manikisik's defense lawyer requested a fitness assessment to determine whether he is fit for trial. Provincial Court Judge Donald Slow granted the request. Manikisik is charged with 5 counts of first-degree murder. The bodies of his common-law partner, their 3 children, and his partner's 17-year-old cousin were found in the Carman area on February 11th. A 10-year-old from Winkler who has needed more than 35 surgeries from HSC Children's Hospital is giving back. Pacey Wall lives with intestinal failure and was chosen as the 2023 champion child. Today, he presented a check for $34,000 to the hospital foundation. Wall says when he was named the champion child for last year, he says he was determined to own the year.
I remember when my parents told me that my goal was to raise $10,000 in 2023. I looked at them and said, I'll raise 30 grand. They told me, be realistic. Apparently, I was being realistic.
Wall says he raised money going door-to-door selling pizzas, and his biggest fundraiser was a raffle during a Winkler Flyers hockey game where he raised $13,000 in one day alone. A report released this month says some Indigenous youth in Winnipeg want changes to Manitoba's healthcare system. 26 Indigenous young people joined a discussion last November to talk about their experiences with primary care delivery in the province. The report says that youth face discrimination in the healthcare system. Advocate Michael Redhead Champagne says it's important to have Indigenous staff in healthcare.
So that when they are receiving services in the primary care or in the healthcare system, that they're able to relate and connect with another Indigenous person.
The report is part of a national initiative that aims to hear from Canadians about primary care delivery. An ally of Russian opposition politician Alexei Navalny says he was close to being freed in a prisoner exchange at the time of his death.
Алексей Навальный мог бы сейчас, прямо сегодня, сидеть на этом месте. Это не фигура речи.
That is Maria Pevchik. She says talks were in the final stages to have Navalny and 2 U.S. citizens exchanged for a Russian agent being held in Germany. The agent has been described by global security officials as a hitman for the Kremlin. The German government confirms there were prisoner exchange discussions, but it won't release any names or details. And this afternoon, the Trudeau government will lay out its plans to combat harmful online content. It will table a bill that's expected to focus primarily on making the internet safer for minors. Janice McGregor has more.
We're expecting criminal code changes, potentially stiffer penalties for harmful online content, and the mandatory reporting of internet child pornography by persons who provide an internet service. Well, that's right there in the title of the bill. But who's going to be doing the regulating? CBC News is reporting that the government's now proposing it not be the CRTC, but a new regulator purpose-built to work with service providers proactively and hold them to account. The Liberals' first attempt at online harms legislation in 2021 would have given service providers only 24 hours to take down harmful content once it was flagged. That was panned for going too far, amid fears that it would result in excessive censorship of controversial subject matter, even political meddling. The federal government consulted extensively before rewriting this bill. But even without seeing it, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre said the official opposition couldn't support anything that limits free speech. Janice McGregor, CBC News, Ottawa.
That is CBC News from Winnipeg. A quick look at your weather tonight in Winnipeg. Cloudy, snow beginning this evening, about 2 centimeters. That wind will pick up to gusts of 60 kilometers an hour and a low of minus 18.
Good afternoon, Manitoba. You are listening to Radio Noon here on CBC Radio 1. 89.3 FM in Winnipeg, 97.9 FM in Brandon, and everywhere on the CBC Listen app. I'm Marjorie Dowhouse. It's so nice to be with you today. Here's what's coming up on the show. A Brandon landlord is calling for more help with problem tenants after her only rental property was destroyed. We're going to hear more coming up at around 12:15. Also, a research project in Brandon is hoping to get more people on that city's trail network and make it more accessible and welcoming for everyone. We'll hear more after the 12:30 news, but first up here, we're going to take you to Dauphin, where farmers are happy to see even more snow in the region. Well, that Alberta clipper that started rolling in last night is definitely leaving its mark on Manitoba. By tonight, parts of western Manitoba could see anywhere between 10 to 20 centimeters of snow. And that includes around the Dauphin area, which saw about 68 centimeters of snow by this morning. Taryn Stickolo is president of the Dauphin Agricultural Society and has a family farm just outside of Dauphin and joins me now. Well, hello there, Taryn.
Hi, Marjorie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. I want to start off by asking you, what does it look outside your window right now?
You know what? The snow was flying when I got to work this morning, but since then it's kind of backed off a little bit. But you can see there's certainly no blue sky, so it looks like we might get some more here.
And so, how was your drive into work today?
It was snow covered. It was icy, but just like any Manitoban in the middle of a Canadian winter, we somehow make it.
Yeah, we certainly do. So how much, I mean, we heard anywhere between 6 to 8 centimeters of snow. So how much snow do you see where you are?
I would say that's pretty close to what we got here. I mean, obviously we had some snow before this, so this is kind of just adding to the snow pile in the yard, you betcha.
We're hearing that Dauphin, that part of western Manitoba, actually has received a good amount of snowfall this winter. As a farmer, what impact do you think all this snow will have, in the growing season that's coming ahead?
You know, there's a saying that you don't make or lose a crop on the snowfall. I think that's certainly true, but you know, it goes a long way for our pastures and our hay crops out here, and just the optimism of being able to know going into spring that we are going to have a chance to put that crop into some good moisture and at least get off to a good start.
Mm-hmm. What have you heard from other farmers? I'm sure you've been in touch with some other farmers around Manitoba. What are you hearing from them?
I think everybody's pretty happy. I mean, around Manitoba, I don't know that everybody has the snowfall we have right here in the parkland, but certainly parkland producers are happy. I mean, they've probably had to push out their vineyards and driveways a little more than they wanted to, but they certainly take the snow because it's going to make everything a lot better come springtime.
Mm-hmm. What do you grow on your farm?
We grow some canola, some soybeans, and some wheat.
Okay. What have you heard in terms of the snowpack, maybe compared to other areas of the province? Have you heard? I know that out here in the east, we say that we haven't received as much snow as we thought we'd receive.
Absolutely. I've talked to a few producers, even in our neighboring provinces, and as well as you get sort of west of Dauphin towards that Roblin and then towards Yorkton. I've heard guys say that, right around the parkland area here, we do definitely have the most snow. So we're certainly grateful, but like I said, it doesn't necessarily make or break a crop just from the snowfall. And we are at the tail end of March, so Mother Nature, or at the tail end of February, sorry. So Mother Nature can sure throw a few more curveballs at us before it comes to spring.
Yeah, absolutely. How often do you find yourself worrying about snowpack this time of year? Have you ever had to worry about it before in the past?
I wouldn't necessarily say that we've had to worry about it, whether we're sitting with less or more. Usually around here, Mother Nature does deliver us some snow at some point throughout the winter. So sometimes we have to be patient and sometimes we're asking her to stop. But either way, we usually get some snowfall.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you might be getting more snow too. 10 to 20 centimeters still expected for your area, Taryn. How are you feeling about that?
Well, I got my snow boots ready and my shovel ready, so we should be able to make it work.
Well, Taryn, I really do appreciate you joining us today here on the show. Stay safe and stay warm out there.
Thank you so much, Marjorie.
Thank you. Taryn Stickolo is president of the Dauphin Agricultural Society and has a family farm just outside of Dauphin.
You have lots of questions about your own life and this really complex world around you. I'm Sarocha Coelho. I'm the host of the new live call-in show, Just Asking. I take your questions about what's in the news or your finances, health, even your relationships, and then throw them to an expert. Our show launches on February 24th, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, live from coast to coast to coast. Just Asking. Let's figure it out together.
Hi, I'm Una Chaplin, and I'm the host of a new podcast called Hollywood Exiles. It tells the story of how my grandfather, Charlie Chaplin, and many others were caught up in a campaign to root out communism in Hollywood. It's a story of glamour and scandal and political intrigue and a battle for the soul of a nation.
Hollywood Exiles, available now on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
We are coming up to 12:12, and you are listening to Radio Noon here on CBC Radio 1, 89.3 FM in Winnipeg, 99.9 FM in Gillam, and everywhere on the CBC Listen app. I'm Marjorie Dowhouse. Still ahead here, a Brandon landlord is calling for more help with problem tenants after her only rental property was destroyed. We're going to hear more coming up. So we do have 2 weather warnings that are currently in effect right now for Manitoba. Let's start with what's happening out west. So as we heard there, Dauphin still expecting more snow today. Parts of the west, including Dauphin, Swan River, Duck Mountain, Russell, Roblin, snowfall warning. Anywhere between 10 to 20 centimeters of snow expected for you. Up in the north, Brochet and Taduli Lake, we're talking about extreme cold here as wind chill values could feel more like minus 45. So that means the risk of frostbite on exposed skin in just minutes. Today in Winnipeg, mainly cloudy, a few flurries. Our temperature will fall to -3 this afternoon. Windy, north wind 30 gusting to 50. Tonight, a low of -17. We're still expecting more snow, about 2 more centimeters here. And because the wind will remain strong out of the north, expect to see some blowing snow overnight. Tomorrow is a cold day, -16, cloudy with a slim chance of flurries in the morning. Taking a look at current conditions right now, Brandon drifting snow -4. Ice crystals -27 in Churchill. Thompson partly cloudy -23 in Winnipeg at the airport. Mostly cloudy -1, wind north at 20. A Brandon landlord is calling for more help with problem tenants. Shirley Harkness says her only rental property is destroyed after the former tenants left physical damage and didn't clean the property. Harkness says she spent months trying to evict the tenant because of the damages, complaints from neighbors, and multiple police calls. She says the Brandon Residential Tenancy Branch Office hasn't been any help. CBC's Chelsea Kemp spoke with Harkness recently.
The state of the house is just horrible. It looks like somebody came in, threw a hand grenade, and just ran. Like it's totally destroyed.
How did it get like this?
I lit a 10 and 10 that is on MPI on a disability from an accident that he had. He's in a wheelchair.
When did he move in?
November the 22nd. He paid his rent for the 1st of November and moved in on the 22nd of November. And this is what he's done in less than 2 months. He moved out, he finally got him out by February the 9th. Yeah. But he managed to do all of this damage in just 2 months.
When did you start the eviction process?
I started the original process probably when I came back from being out of the country, the end of November. I tried getting him out. I'd been trying. I gave him eviction notice for not paying his rent. He never paid his rent for the whole time, on time, not 1 month. So I was giving him eviction notices. They say you give him 5 days after the 1st, then you can give him 2 days notice. He totally ignored them all.
I was just talking to you earlier. It just sounds like you were kind of on your own, trying to deal with it as the house is destroyed.
Yeah, because I went to the tenancy board to try and get him out with the criminal activity, and I just got the runaround from the tenancy board. Well, you need to get evidence. My word wasn't enough, so I had to come back to the neighbors and go to all the neighbors and ask any of them if they had video cameras, anything. If anybody could tell me what happened on December the 8th when the SWAT team was here. The lady next door said, yeah, when I called her, she said, oh yeah, there's 5 or 6 police out there. There's 5 or 6 police cars, and they're out there with big guns. I said, what do you mean, big guns? And then people had videos of it. That the SWAT cars, they had videos of them out there.
How often did you get to work with someone in Brandon versus Winnipeg?
Yeah, no, it was the Brandon office. And the guy that was helping me there, I would take forms to him to fill out. I would ask him, are these forms filled out properly? He said, yeah. Then I would take and drop them off to him, and then the woman said, oh, no, you have to come back because you didn't fill the form out right. I said, but I asked the guy before I even took it. Oh, well, he was wrong. And so the whole process, I got, I don't know, 40 or 50 pages with the damage and everything to be able to get him out. Then we got a hearing set up for, I think it was the 10th of February, because before that it was supposed to be the 2nd. I got sick. So I wasn't
here or in Winnipeg?
Yeah, it was here. So then they made the hearing the 10th. So he didn't show up and didn't call. So they automatically gave me possession of my house. I had a possession order to take back my house. So they got it. Then they told me, oh, you have 7 days. He has 7 days to appeal it. So that's starting on the 11th. It should have been done on the 19th. And the guy told me, I was down at the tenancy office on the 19th. He said, yeah, you can't do anything today, but first thing Monday, you can go to the sheriff's office and start the paperwork to get the sheriff. So I did that. First thing Monday I went, and he said the 19th was the last day. Halfway through my paperwork sitting in the car, I get a call from the commission's office, the tenancy office in Winnipeg, and some woman telling me, you have to stop what you're doing. He's called, and he's appealing. So I don't even know what that office is there for. But they sure don't do anything for you. And I'm not the only person that's been told that. I got told by another guy that rents in town here, and he said, you will not get anywhere with the Brandon office. If you have to deal with anything, you have to go through the Winnipeg office. So this guy was allowed to stay even longer when they knew he was damaging the house. They knew that the police had been there. They had the police records from 10 trips that the police had made here.
What would help other landlords like you in the future who encounter tenants?
The tenancy board, there has to be changes to the tenancy board because the tenancy board does nothing for you. Like, it shouldn't be the way it is. It shouldn't be that a tenant has more rights in somebody's house than the owner of the house. We're the ones paying the taxes. They just don't care. The tenancy board just doesn't care what they do to your house.
That is Brandon landlord Shirley Harkness speaking with CBC's Chelsea Kemp. Avron Chirac is a spokesperson for Manitoba's Professional Property Managers Association. He also spoke with CBC's Chelsea Kemp. Chelsea started by asking what landlords can do to protect themselves.
So the most important thing is good tenant screening on the way in. It's not perfect, but I've spoken to many a landlord on behalf of the industry, helping them out. And of course, they say, I've got this terrible tenant. And the first question I ask is, have you checked any of their references? Have you pulled a credit bureau, any of that? Oh, no. That really can help prevent a lot of problems, not all of them.
Right. Well, and what happens if you do encounter problems, like where you have failure to pay rent or even damages to a property?
Again, it's all situational. Failure to pay rent is black and white. It's fairly easy, but takes time. So on the 5th day after rent is due, you could issue a notice of termination, follow through the process, and you may have them out fairly quickly. But if they're a sophisticated tenant, they may know how to play the system, and it may take months to properly terminate, as long as they keep catching up with the rent before you get them out the door. If it's damage or disturbance, it's far more difficult. Yeah, so for a notice of termination for damage or disturbance is harder. There's a lot more he said, she said. Sometimes photographs will help. If you're lucky, you have recordings.
What tips do you give, especially to small landlords who maybe only have one rental property?
That's the hard one, because I work for a company. I've been in the business for almost 3 years. So I understand how these things work. The residential tenancies branch does try to help out both sides equally. So if you're a smaller landlord, by all means, phone them, ask for advice on how to deal with the situation as you're dealing with it. More than once, I've had to have a conversation with a manager who's in the middle of it and said, if you would have done it differently, your life might have been easier. And so the branch can help you with that. They have a lot of material online as well, but their job is to be impartial when it comes to hearings. However, they're more than happy to share education on how to walk through a process.
That is Avram Shirak with Manitoba's Professional Property Manager Association, speaking there with CBC's Chelsea Kemp. A provincial spokesperson says 2 full-time staff are assigned to the Brandon area. They did not confirm if the Brandon office is short-staffed. Eviction hearings can be held in person at the Brandon office, virtually or via teleconference. You can read the full story on our website, cbc.ca/Manitoba, as well as on the CBC News app. You're listening to Radio Noon here on CBC Radio 1, 89.3 FM in Winnipeg. Also, streaming on CBC Manitoba's YouTube channel. I'm Marjorie Dowhouse. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, choirs generally have a pretty standard sound, but a special choir in Summerside, PEI, has a sound that's anything but typical. That's because it doesn't feature singing voices in the traditional sense, but kazoos. CBC's Sam Wandio stopped by one of the group's rehearsals and spoke with organizer Peggy Miles.
I guess I had a bit of a vision to, bring together some people who could kazoo at community events and things like that. And we have done that. And the kazoo is accessible to everyone. Everyone can learn to play the kazoo, whether you can read music or not. So it's something that's very accessible to people. Sometimes people think you have to blow in the kazoo, but you actually have to hum in the kazoo. So that's usually the first hurdle, and it's pretty easy to get over that. And then it's smooth sailing from there.
I've always found the kazoo to be kind of a comical instrument. Do people sometimes laugh when they're playing it?
So yes, I'm the instructor, and I had a hard time not laughing the first class, but I quickly got over it. But we have had some new members since then, and yes, they do have a hard time. There are a few laughs the first class, and then people that may be watching us, they're laughing too, and that's totally fine. Again, it's the humor piece, and it has a way of bringing people together. It's a silly thing, and we know it, so it's okay. Sometimes we run through a song and it sounds great, and sometimes we run through a song and it doesn't sound so great, and it sort of ends in a fit of laughter, and that's really the whole point of just bringing people together to socialize and have fun and be silly.
How many members do you have?
We have about half a dozen. We have a group of ladies currently. We have a great group of kazooists right now. It's a really special group, and I know it will remain that way when we get some more members to join. And it's been great to hear their stories about why they joined the kazoo choir.
I needed something to get out of the house. My husband had passed away. So someone had suggested this might be something fun for me to try, and it actually has turned into something of a good therapy. We laugh so much to where we have to not even look at each other. Sometimes we start giggling. So it is a really fun time.
Sounds like an absolute blast. That was some beautiful music by the PEI Kazoo Choir. It is 12:25 now. Well, how about a tune that does not involve the kazoo? Here's a tune from Winnipeg singer-songwriter Slow Leaves. This one is Jenny.
Everybody's gotta leave just to come back again.
life is just so funny, baby, don't laugh. I heard that Jenny's moving back. Yeah. I keep my fantasies all on the inside. I fear my heart is beating on the outside. Face down, hung around. Jenny used to be so shy. When she met her boyfriend, she couldn't look him straight in the eye. Hey man, secondhand, I heard her life is falling apart. Her boyfriend had a habit, but he hid it real well at the start. This life is just so funny, baby, don't laugh. I can't believe she's coming back. Yeah. I keep my fantasies all on the inside. I fear my heart is beating on the outside. I see a mansion gleaming on the hillside. I close my eyes and dream of Jenny inside. This life is just so funny, baby, don't laugh. I heard that Jenny's moving back. Yeah. I keep my fantasies all on the inside. I fear my heart is beating on the outside. I see a mansion gleaming on the hillside. I close my eyes and dream of Jenny inside. Jenny in my
Off his 2023 album, Meantime, that is Slow Leaves with Jenny. Weather warnings in effect for Manitoba right now. Snowfall warning out to the west, anywhere between 10 to 20 centimeters of snow. This affects Dauphin, Swan River, Russell, Roblin, and then we've got extreme cold to the north. Brochet and Taduli Lake wind chill could feel like minus 45 there, so just take care if you're up there in the north. We're going to get more on those weather warnings coming up when CBC weather specialist Riley Laychuk joins us here after the 12:30 news. Well, still ahead on Radio Noon, a research project in Brandon is hoping to get more people on that city's trail network and make it more accessible and welcoming for everyone. Stay tuned for that. You're listening to Radio Noon on CBC Radio 1, 89.3 FM in Winnipeg, on the CBC Listen app and streaming on CBC Manitoba's YouTube channel. Stay with us. Your CBC Local News with Rosanna Hempel is next.
This is CBC News. Good afternoon, I'm Rosanna Hempel in Winnipeg. At 12:30, it's +2 in Winnipeg. Cloudy today with wind gusts up to 50 this afternoon, a high of +3. Crews are out plowing roads, sidewalks, and back lanes this morning after an intense system dumped more than 2 centimeters of snow on the city early this morning. Major routes are being taken care of first. A reminder, you can't park on winter routes between 2 in the morning and 7 a.m., or you could be ticketed and towed. A judge has ordered a mental health assessment for a man accused of killing 5 people in southern Manitoba earlier this month. The CBC's Bryce Hoy has more.
Ryan Manikiewicz appeared this morning in a Winnipeg courtroom via video conference, his hands behind his back in cuffs. He was silent for the brief hearing. Now, Manikiewicz is charged with 5 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of his common-law partner, their 3 children, and her cousin. His lawyer requested a fitness assessment to determine whether Manikizik is fit for trial, saying she has concerns about him. Provincial Court Judge Donald Sloat granted the request. Now, on February 11th, the bodies of 30-year-old Amanda Clearwater and those of their 3 kids, 6-year-old Bethany, 4-year-old Javen, and 2-month-old Isabella, were found in the Carman, Manitoba area. So was the body of Clearwater's cousin, 17-year-old Maya Grattan. The assessment is expected to happen in the next few weeks. Bryce Hoy, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The body of a 19-year-old man has been found near the Pas, Manitoba. Peter Charlotte was reported missing on Saturday off a highway near the Saskatchewan border. He was found near dead Sunday in a wooded area about 3 kilometers away from where he was last seen. Police and the chief medical examiner are investigating. And a 10-year-old boy with a rare condition has raised $34,000 for the HSC Children's Hospital. Pacey Wall was the 2023 champion child for the hospital. He has had more than 35 surgeries at HSC Children's for his intestinal failure. Wall says his parents told him initially he was supposed to raise $10,000 in his year as champion child, but he wanted to triple that.
I really, really wanted to own this champion child year. I wanted to work hard and let people know why it's so important to donate face to face.
The money will be used for surgical tools at the hospital. Wall says he wanted to make sure his medical team knew how much he appreciated all the work they've done for him and other kids. That is the CBC News from Winnipeg. Your next local CBC News is at 1:30. And just another look at your weather for Winnipeg tonight. Cloudy, snow beginning this evening, about 2 centimeters, and that wind will pick up to gusts of 60 kilometers an hour.
Thank you very much, Rosanna.
You're welcome.
That is Rosanna Hempel with your CBC Local News Update. 12:33, and you're listening to Radio Noon here on CBC Radio 1, 89.3 FM in Winnipeg, 97.9 FM in Brandon. We are also on the CBC Listen app, and we're also streaming right now on CBC Manitoba's YouTube channel. So you can catch us everywhere. And why not? Because we have weather specialist Riley Lachuk joining us now here in studio. So Riley, we heard from a farmer out in the Dauphin area, said that they got quite a bit of snow, but they've been seeing a lot of snow actually this winter, say compared to, I mean, when we had a kind of, you could see grass here.
Yeah.
In Winnipeg.
And much of the extreme southern Manitoba has seen very little precipitation this winter. But the Dauphin Swan River region, about normal precipitation for this time of the year. So the snow just kind of added to it. And it's kind of nice and white out there now.
It is. It's a little sloppy.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing in your forecast is that even though it's been mild today, that's not sticking around.
Oh, no, that's not. Yeah. We'll get right into it. So very quickly, we'll look at some snowfall totals from the CoCoRaHS network. These are as of this morning through southern Manitoba. So the Winnipeg region, 5 to 7 centimeters, depending where you are in the city. Locally, maybe some higher amounts in your backyard. The Brandon region, 4 centimeters, 5 in Portage la Prairie. The Swan River region, 9 centimeters, and 10 in Woodlands, just northwest of the city, up along Highway 6. So we still have a snowfall warning in place for the Swan River Dauphin regions into the area just on sort of the western shore of Lake Manitoba into the northern interlake. We could see up to 20 centimeters by the time the snow kind of moves out tonight. And we're expecting maybe a few flurries still here in the Winnipeg region, maybe even as far west as Portage la Prairie through the afternoon. That chance kind of lingers through tonight. And then what we see is Colorado low moving along the international border, giving Manitoba mainly a miss, but we'll see some snow through the overnight period in the Red River Valley, even as far north as Winnipeg, a couple centimeters tonight. Mainly, though, this is a system that will impact Minnesota, North Dakota, and northwestern Ontario as we get through the day on Tuesday. The trade-off, we'll see falling temperatures through the day today into Tuesday for southern Manitoba and much brighter conditions. So we're looking at winds tonight in southern Manitoba picking up out of the north up to 50 or 60 through the Red River Valley. Not as strong back to the west, but certainly we're looking at some very gusty conditions into the early morning hours tomorrow. So right now we're looking at temperatures of -1 in Winnipeg and Portage, -4 in Brandon, -23 in Thompson. And as we get through the afternoon, those temperatures will really fall. So by the time we get to about 3-4 o'clock, we'll be at about -3 in Winnipeg, dropping to about minus 17 by the time we get to the early morning tomorrow. Temperatures in northern Manitoba, Churchill, Thompson, Gillam, Lynn Lake approaching minus 30 overnight tonight, and really not increasing a whole lot as we get through the day on Tuesday, really at about minus 16 across southern Manitoba. Minus 19 for a high on Wednesday under a sunny sky. Then we rebound a little bit to about minus 3, minus 2 for Friday, Marge, and light snow potentially on Saturday with a high of minus 8.
Well, we're not quite done with winter yet.
No.
With the last week of February. So, yeah. Oh, all right. Well, we'll take it.
We'll take it.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Riley.
No problem.
That's CBC weather specialist Riley Lachuk. Of course, Riley, we'll have the very latest on the forecast coming up this afternoon on Up to Speed, 3 to 6 o'clock here on CBC Radio 1. As well, tonight on CBC Winnipeg News at 6 on CBC Television, streaming on CBC Gem and CBC Manitoba's YouTube channel. Brandon's Riverbank Discovery Centre wants to find out how people are using its green space to make it more welcoming for everyone. Desiree Bodnar is a research assistant with the Children's Hospital Research Institute of Manitoba. She's been studying trail equity. Bodnar recently spoke with CBC's Chelsea Kemp.
The most important part about this event is that it increases visibility and highlights the need for trail equity. So the idea that people will come and use the trails and that trails are available for people of all demographics. I think that highlighting that Indigenous people should be focused on when designing these trails is the highlight of this event.
Do we have trail equity right now?
I think that it's something that we can strive for in the future, and that trails weren't always designed with everybody's needs and different backgrounds in mind. So,
what does trail equity mean?
It means that when trails are designed, that everyone is considered in their design.
We'll reroute. How long have you been getting ready for today? How long has this research been taking place?
So the planning for this began in July.
Yeah, because you told me about it in the summer.
Yeah, so the planning for this has been going on for quite a long time. We were just waiting for the right timing for an event like this one.
What made now the right time?
It's not a busy season for a lot of people, and Dean's winter, or the Riverbank Discovery Center's new winter trails are also now in use and available. An event like this kind of highlights that those trails are available for people. Yeah.
And what kind of went into the lead up to today? Research, talking to people, what did that look like?
So this has definitely been a community project. There have been many different groups involved in the planning of this and giving input on what an event like this would look like and how we can best make sure that everyone's represented in the teachings and different elders that are giving lessons for everybody. I think that the community effort was to make sure that the event was reaching as many people as it could and representing them in what we were doing.
What do you kind of hope they walk away learning or sharing with other community members?
I think that if people walk away with the idea that these trails are for them, that's the best thing that we could hope for.
That was Desiree Bodnar with the Children's Hospital Research Institute of Manitoba. CBC's Chelsea Kemp also spoke with Dean Hammond, the Executive Director with the Riverbank Discovery Centre.
I was called by Dr. McGavick from the University of Manitoba last spring, and when he called and told me what he wanted to do, I said, absolutely, Riverbank is 100% in. We want to be involved in this project. This sounds really interesting. Of course, Riverbank, as Brandon's largest outdoor green space, we have an extensive trail network. So any thing we can do to make our trails better, more inclusive, to build that trail equity that John talked about, yes, we're more than happy to be a part of that.
How does this shape the future of Riverbank? Will we see trails maybe being redone, or will we see plaques honoring Indigenous stories? Or maybe even like growing medicines or having a sweat lodge?
Well, I think that remains to be seen as part of the research and what the research outcomes find out. But in the meantime, Riverbank is very respectful of the fact that Riverbank is built on lands that were settled by Indigenous peoples long before we were here. So we want to do things that make Riverbank welcoming to Indigenous people. So the research aside, we are looking at different projects. We're looking at Indigenous trail naming and place naming. We have been in discussions about the possibility of having a sweat lodge placed on Riverbank grounds. And of course, we work with many Indigenous groups for different events throughout the year, not just the big ones like National Indigenous Peoples Day and Truth and Reconciliation Week, but we're always looking to have more Indigenous-led events and Indigenous-led programming on our grounds.
And when can people anticipate seeing changes here?
Well, to that, I would say that there's always changes going on here, and we're always working on something. I'm not sure what the future looks like, depending on what the outcomes of the research are. I mean, for sure there will be changes, but in the meantime, we like to think that we're always progressing and, always doing things to make our trails better or different or more welcoming, not just to Indigenous people, but to new Canadians and to anyone who wants to use our trails down here. That's the ultimate goal, is to get people down here and on our trails.
Dean Hammond is the executive director of the Riverbank Discovery Centre in Brandon. He was speaking there with CBC's Chelsea Kemp. You can read more on this story on our website at cbc.ca/Manitoba.
Jarrett Martineau hosts Reclaimed.
In an hour, you could hear everything from powwow music to like a soft acoustic ballad to an electronic record to like a dub track, all in the same hour from an Indigenous artist from any part of the world. Eclecticism is an overused word, obviously, but I think the sheer diversity that gets represented on the show is something that's totally unique.
Reclaimed with Jarrett Martineau. Available now on CBC Listen.
Newfoundland band Quote the Raven is on the move. The duo will be headed to Australia at the beginning of March and have tour dates booked on the East Coast in April. So before you know it, they'll be already gone, which happens to be the name of their new single.
Should I leave on a light? I've got no way of knowing if you're coming home. Should I wait up all night or get used to sleeping alone? When you say you love me, something sounds wrong. Are you holding out or holding on? You say you're leaving, you're already gone. Am I wasting my days setting tables for two? Am I wasting my nights, oh, waiting on you? 'Cause this house feels as empty as it did yesterday. Did all of our memories get caught in the way? When you say you love me, something sounds wrong.
From Conception Bay, South Newfoundland, that was, quote, The Raven with Already Gone. 13 minutes to 1 o'clock. You're listening to Radio Noon here on CBC Radio 1. I'm Marjorie Dowhouse. Some current conditions right now. Brandon, drifting snow at -4. You have a northeast wind right now gusting to 52. Ice crystals -27 in Churchill. At this hour in Thompson, partly cloudy -23. -1 in Winnipeg at the airport. Mostly cloudy, wind north right now at 20. Well, imagine winning the lottery. I mean, that's like a dream. The nightmare scenario, winning and not claiming the prize. That's what's unfolding in New Brunswick right now. A $64 million jackpot has been sitting unclaimed for almost a year. And as CBC's Jennifer Keane explains, the clock is ticking.
When news got out that a $64 million ticket had been bought in Gloucester County, New Brunswick, it was all anyone could talk about.
At the beginning, it was crazy. Everyone was wondering who had the lucky ticket. There was just all kinds of different rumors.
Marlene Legacy owns the Last Stop convenience store just outside of Bathurst.
The first rumor that ever came out was the rumor of that it was a group of people from Walmart that won it, but they weren't able to claim it right away.
Then they thought it was someone from out of town.
So somebody that was passing through just happened to stop at a little convenience, or someone bought a lottery ticket at one of the stores.
It's been 10 months now since someone bought that winning ticket. If you win big in Canada, you have to go public. You know, take a picture with the big check. So Tony Batanti with Ontario Lottery and Gaming says it's not unusual for people to wait a while.
I mean, usually our winners for these big amounts take a couple of months, maybe 3 or 4 months to come in because they want to talk to a lawyer, financial advisor, get their affairs in order before they do come and claim those big life-changing amounts of money.
Lottery winners have 1 year to claim their prize, and it's rare that anyone waits that long. Except that one guy who waited to the last minute so he could finalize his divorce and cheat his wife out of the money. It didn't work. If the clock is ticking and the prize is big enough, lottery officials will launch a PR campaign, and they'll go to great lengths to find the winner. Like in Ontario about a decade ago, when a $50 million ticket was about to expire.
And it was very lucky for us that we had the video from the store that the ticket was sold. And it happened to be, in this case, a Shoppers Drug Mart. And on that video, we saw that the person actually bought their ticket with a credit card and used the loyalty card for Shoppers Drug Mart as well.
Tony says they cross-referenced the video with the cards, and the winner got the cash, even though she'd lost the ticket. Millions in lottery winnings go unclaimed in Canada every year. Mostly small prizes, but not always.
Imagine winning $70 million in the lottery and not knowing about it until it was too late.
That could be the painful reality for someone.
Last summer, despite all the lottery officials' efforts, a $70 million ticket just went poof.
We had over 2,700 people say that ticket was theirs, and we investigated every one of those 2,700 people, and in the end, no one had all the information, and no one came forward with that ticket.
When that happens, the money goes back into the kitty for future lotteries. So how do you keep that from happening to you?
Put those tickets in a secure location. Put them in on the refrigerator with a magnet so you can see it, or in an envelope in the junk drawer, but you know that it's there.
And if you're really bad at keeping tabs on tiny slips of paper, you can always buy your ticket online. Whoever purchased the $64 million ticket in Gloucester County has 2 months left to search their junk drawer. But time is running out.
Like, it'd be sad for whoever does have that ticket. Can you imagine finding the ticket after the date. Like, you only have a year to claim it. So imagine someone had it tucked away in their drawer in their jacket pocket and didn't realize till after the date. That would be so sad.
For the cost of living, I'm Jennifer Keane.
Could you imagine a $64 million jackpot going unclaimed? For more stories about money and the economic forces that are all around us, subscribe to CBC's Cost of Living podcast. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts, or catch the show at 11:30 tomorrow morning right here on CBC Radio 1. Well, how about a tune now off his 1995 album Lucky Man? This is Charlie Major with Waiting on You.
Getting dressed up to head out for the night. Last minute check, everything's alright. Cruise on down to the avenue. Saturday night is a thing to do. Walking through the bars, the same old crowd. Same old music playing much too loud. Discouraging conversation. Glance around the room, try to catch a night. Come on, look my way, I ain't such a bad guy. Hey girl, would you like to dance? You don't know me, we could take a chance. Maybe we won't have anything in kind. Maybe we can just kill a little time in passing. Maybe tonight's the night I get lucky. Find that someone who's just right for me. Turn my world around. I'm waiting on you. Girl, I know you're out there somewhere. I'm waiting on you. I got so much love and it's hard to share. I'm waiting on you. Maybe tonight's the night I'll find you. I'm waiting on you. It's the same old game, the same old lines that never change. I'm a little bit tired of this crazy life. Man, I tell you, I'd like to quit it outright. I ain't talking no one-night affairs. Looking for someone who really cares for me. Maybe tonight's the night I get lucky. Find that someone who's just right for me. Maybe tonight's the night I'll turn my world around. I'm waiting on you. Girl, I know you're out there somewhere. I'm waiting on you. I got so much love and it's hard to share. I'm waiting on you. Maybe tonight's the night I'll find you. I'm waiting on you. They say for every man there's a woman out there. Well, I've been looking everywhere. Oh girl, well it's a pretty big world. I'm waiting on you. Girl, I know you're out there somewhere. I'm waiting on you. I got so much love and it's hard to share. I'm waiting on you. Maybe tonight's the night I'll find you. I'm waiting on you. Girl, I know you're out there somewhere. I'm waiting on you.
Off his 1995 album Lucky Man, that was Charlie Major with Waitin' on You. 12:57 now, and it's time to get a sneak peek of what's coming up this afternoon on Up to Speed. Host Faith Fundal joins me in studio. Hi, Faith.
Hello, Marjorie. Well, she's a 2-time world champion, a 6-time Canadian champion, and an Olympic gold medalist. Now Jennifer Jones is turning her attention to new pursuits. We're going to speak with the star athlete from right here in Winnipeg about her sensational career and what's coming up next after the big game last night.
Oh my gosh. It would have been great to see her win one more title, I know, to wrap up her career in curling fours. But, I mean...
Lots of folks had their fingers crossed and were really, really hoping for it. But just because you didn't win doesn't mean you're not a winner. So.
Exactly. Yep. One of the greatest curlers of all time. Thanks a lot, Faith.
Thank you.
That is Faith Wendell, host of Up to Speed. Tune into Up to Speed this afternoon, 3 to 6 o'clock here on CBC Radio 1. Well, that brings us to the end here of Radio Noon. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank the incredible folks who worked so hard on the show today. Corey Funk, Chelsea Kemp, Rosanna Hempel, Riley Lachuk. In charge of our video controls, they're streaming on CBC Manitoba's YouTube channel, Travis Peterson. Our show director and technical producer, the one and only Dylan Longhurst. Our show producer is Nellie Gonzalez, and senior producer of audio is Leif Larson. I'm Marjorie Dowhouse. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Coming up here on CBC Radio 1, The Next Chapter. Have a good one.